Before this video starts, if you enjoy this video, there are many more like it already on the channel, with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. I upload 6 days a week on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. Today, we are talking about DeAndre Ayton and what his ceiling and his potential might be. Now, Ayton to me has to be one of the most slept on young players in the league, though you do hear that quite a bit, but that really is because, well, he's one of the most slept on players in the league. DeAndre Ayton is a very good post scorer, very athletic, very good in the pick and roll, has a good mid-range jump shot, and just as of recently with the bubble in Orlando, he has actually shown some signs of being a capable three-point shooter, which is huge. Now, it should be said, extremely small sample size. This is only 4 games, and he has only shot 7 three-pointers, and only made 3 of them. But that is 43%, and with the shots themselves, he seems very confident in it, and the thing is that it was anticipated that Ayton would be shooting threes in the NBA as soon as he came in, because he was shooting threes in college. However, that did not really translate immediately. That could be from the fact that the line is a little bit longer and things like that, but it was anticipated that he eventually would start shooting threes, and it appears that's what he's doing. It's also worth mentioning that since he's been shooting threes, the Suns are 4-0, and if I can't get this video long enough, I might actually talk about the Suns and what they've been doing in the bubble, but I want to keep the focus on Ayton for now. So DeAndre is, like I said, very good offensive big man. He's also a very good rebounder. For the season as a whole, he averages 19 points and 12 rebounds, and he shoots 55% from the field with an overall 58% true shooting percentage. In these last 4 games with the three-point shot, he's been shooting 58% and again 43% from 3 on 1.8 attempts per game. He's also an underrated playmaker to me. Like, he's obviously not like making any crazy passes, but he's also not like problematic in that area. If he needs to make a pass, he can make a pass. And then outside of that, the question with him has been the defense, and it's been an interesting thing with him this year. Now, and even last year as well, like his entire career in the NBA, because initially in college, or at least in high school, he was hyped up to be this defensive guy just because aesthetically he appears to be a very good defensive player, but when you actually watch possession to possession, it's not really the case. He was more of like a Hassan Whiteside type of defender when he was in Miami, where it's like, wow, he's getting all these crazy impressive defensive plays. Well, all the little things that matter at defense was not really accomplishing that, so it was really empty. But in the NBA, he has been up and down, and I'd say mostly up considering what people anticipated him to be, but he still has not been a good defensive player. Even then in the NBA, he's also been this like Hassan Whiteside type of dude where he looks like a much better defensive player than he actually is. Like, very good shot blocker, but the actual small elements of the game that you need to be able to do, like pick and roll coverage, being able to switch onto the perimeter, making the right read, not going for a block when you should stay on your feet, not fouling too much, all of those types of things, really not something that DeAndre Ayton excelled at, so that made his overall defense poor. But when you look at what he was expected to be coming into the league, he's actually been pretty alright. Now, the question is, can he be more than alright? Because ideally your center is better than alright, and I honestly do not know. I would say probably he can be good at defending big men. I'd say right now he's already alright at it in terms of switching and defending people outside of the paint. That is up for debate, and that's something that we're gonna have to see. He certainly has the mobility, but it's more of a question of his mental aspect and like how he reads plays. And he makes the right read sometimes and it looks real impressive, but there's a lot of times where he doesn't and it looks real not impressive. But if we can bring this back to the offense and start talking about his ceiling, what does his game look like if he is shooting threes consistently? Well, that is interesting because I think that makes him very similar offensively, and especially even arguably better overall if he's actually making them. It makes him similar offensively to a younger, like rookie year Joel Embiid. and that's obviously something great to have. The dude is only 21 years old, so him being like a young Embiid and having that kind of upside, at least offensively I should say, is definitely something to keep an eye on. If he is shooting, let's say, 35% from 3 on like 4 attempts per game, that automatically makes the Phoenix Suns offense that much better. They're actually not a bad offensive team right now, and I think if DeAndre Ayton is spacing out the floor, that makes them an even better offensive team, because what was weird this year was with the whole Aaron Baines thing, because Ayton missed the first like 25 or so games of the season because he was suspended, they ended up putting Aaron Baines in the starting lineup, and suddenly he went insane from 3. Like this year, he eventually got back down to earth and was shooting 35% on just 4 attempts, which is about where I said Ayton would be. But to start the year, he was shooting like 45% on like 5 attempts, which was just wild considering we'd viewed him as just like an okay 3-point shooter previous to this. But if he can be that kind of 3-point shooter, like a 35 on 4 attempts like Baines is, that's going to make Phoenix's offense that much better, because he's going to be able to space the floor like Baines did, while also being a much better and more dominant inside presence, much better offensive rebounder, much better finisher, much better pick and roll guy, much better individual one-on-one post scorer. Again, has that mid-range shot that he can go to in the face-up and in the pick and pop. So he's definitely going to be pretty much everything you want offensively out of a center in 2020. He has the traditional big man skills of being able to score in the post, be in the pick and roll, but he can also shoot the jump shot, which is huge. Now, what is the ceiling for a guy like that? Well, I'm working on a video right now on why the center position is potentially dying, and that could be a factor in terms of where DeAndre Ayton's ceiling is, because even though I think he's shown signs of being a 3-point shooter, and I think hypothetically he could be a pretty alright one, I definitely don't think he's going to be a 3-point shooter. It's like the whole thing that's been going on with John Collins in Atlanta. Like, John Collins can develop his 3-point shot as much as he wants. His game is not 3-point shooting, and that's the same thing with DeAndre Ayton. It's the same thing with Joel Embiid. And, well, Joel Embiid's actually, like, a bad shooter, but even in his rookie year, like, yeah, Joel Embiid shot 35% from 3, but Joel Embiid was an inside paint presence. Like, it doesn't matter if he can hit the 3, that's not what he does. It would be just, like, a complete reversal of his game if he just became a 3-point shooter. Like, basically, that'd be like turning Brook Lopez in Brooklyn to Milwaukee Brook Lopez, which is obviously possible because that happened, but that's a fundamental change that I think changes the ceiling of that player, because obviously Brook Lopez was better in Brooklyn than he is now, but, you know, better role player and all that. But anyways, so DeAndre Ayton is going to be a more traditional center, and I think the fact that he's a little bit questionable in terms of switching on the perimeter is going to hold him back. If he could really figure that out, then he could be dangerous, especially because I think we're going to see a more common trend of small ball in the coming years of the NBA. It's already been happening now, and I think what the Rockets are doing is going to start that picking up momentum. And if DeAndre Ayton can hit his 3-pointers when he's open and be able to defend most positions pretty legitimately, well, that would make him a very valuable player, because a center like that is not easy to find. Like, if he could be, I don't know, that's too much of an ask. I was going to say if he could be like Bam Adebayo, but like he's not going to be like defensively like that at all. But if like he can have the 3-point shot and be more of a scorer, maybe he could be on that level and fit into a more modern NBA and a smaller NBA. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that I could see him being a top 10 player. That's probably where I'm saying like his cap is like the 11th best player in the league, just because of the defense. And as a center, defense really matters. Like, if I don't consider Karl Anthony Towns a top 10 player with how good he is offensively, I'm definitely not going to consider DeAndre Ayton in that category, though I think he is going to be better than Cat on defense. So I definitely don't think he's going to reach top 10 unless he really works on that 3-point shot and he really works on that defense. But I could also see him like barely cracking top 20 if he doesn't make improvements, because I don't know that he actually improved all that much this season. I really just think he was given more opportunity due to them adding Ricky Rubio, which plays to his strengths more, because he has a guard to set him up on the pick and roll, which he previously did not have, and to give him the ball in the post. What was really frustrating about Ayton's rookie year was there were a lot of possessions where Ayton should have gotten the ball and he really just didn't because Devin Booker wanted the ball or it just didn't find his way to him. And having a playmaker like Ricky Rubio in that system completely changes that. I'd say his ceiling is probably somewhere between the 11th best player and like the 18th. And I think he could probably get there in like 2 to 3 seasons. And I do want to say that DeAndre Ayton is going to be a very good player. That's just kind of how the NBA is right now. Like, Bradley Beal is not a top 15 player. And that dude averages 30 points per game legitimately. That's just kind of how it is. The NBA is just ridiculously stacked with talent, so a guy who can be a legitimate 20 and 10 big man, be pretty alright defensively and shoot threes, yeah, that guy's not a top 10 player. And that's insane, but that's the reality. So that is what I believe the ceiling of DeAndre Ayton to be. Also, I'm probably not going to make a video on it, but I do want to point out that Mikal Bridges seems like he's going to be pretty fucking good, especially with how he's been playing in the bubble. But yeah, that's DeAndre Ayton. That is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.